Bengals come away with a preseason win tonight, 31-17 against the Washington Commanders. The first team offense looked pretty good. First team defense looked pretty bad on the flip side of things. I do think there was some good things to talk about in today's game, though. So I do want to just kind of touch on a little bit more of the positives, but we are going to talk about how bad that first team defense was. Before we get into that, though, make sure you guys are subscribed right here to Bengals Breakdown. We have videos for you guys all season and off season long as well, so do not miss out. We'll also be live for as many watch parties as possible, so don't miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now. All right, the first takeaway of this game has to be how bad the first team defense played. They were really only out there for a couple of drives, but that's all they really needed. You know, the first two drives, the Commanders in the first drive had 4 plays, 74 yards. Every single one of those yards were on the ground. I think the first 3 plays were runs, and then Jaden Daniels ended up running for that touchdown run as well. Chris Rodriguez Jr., 6 carries for 62 yards with a long of 40. Pretty sure one of those was on the first drive of the game there as well. And then the second drive, 3 plays, 44 yards, and a touchdown. First 2 drives, you gave up 106 yards on the ground. That absolutely cannot happen. This defense has to be better in 2025 if the Bengals want any shot of making the playoffs. The interior of that defensive line looked absolutely awful in the first 2 drives of the game. They've got to get that figured out, or like I said a second ago, the Bengals are not going to make the playoffs this year behind a performance like that from those first-team defensive players. So go down at the pinned comment of today's video. Grade the Bengals against the Commanders A, B, C, D, or F. This is the offense and the defense combined into one grade. So my personal opinion, I'm going to give it a C because I thought the offense was decent, but that first-team defense looked awful. Maybe even a B- because the second-team defense actually did play pretty well. But either way, that first-team defense was atrocious. But let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, my second takeaway of this game today, man, Mitchell Tinsley was absolutely insane. This guy is on his way to making the Bengals 53-man roster. He had a couple touchdown grabs in this game. 5 catches for 73 yards for Mitchell Tinsley, including that long of 23. I believe that was probably the touchdown grab as well. That second touchdown was probably one of the best touchdown grab or the catch of the entire game today. And, you know, when you talk about guys like Jermaine Burton and, Cole Burgess and Isaiah Williams, man, I genuinely think Mitchell Tinsley has an opportunity to make this Bengals 53-man roster if he continues to show up and perform like he did tonight. Especially when you talk about Jermaine Burton. Yeah, he does offer some special teams ability, but, do they trust him? I think that's going to be a big question mark for Jermaine Burton this year. If Mitchell Tinsley goes out there in the third preseason game and puts on another performance like he did in this one, man, I think, he is definitely going to make this Bengals 53-man roster. We'll continue with some more takeaways here in just a second, but first, want to give a shout-out to our friends over at Prize Picks because they are the sponsor of today's video. Preseason football is underway, and college football is also here, so don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks. I personally use Prize Picks for so many different sporting events, whether it's professional football, baseball, basketball, college sports, MMA, whatever it is. Prize Picks is so much fun, and if you guys know ball, you can win real money all season long on Prize Picks. This is what we had cooked up here tonight for this evening's game. You had Evan McPherson, more than 1.5 field goals made. That one hit. Ja'Cory Merritt also had more than on the rushing yards tonight. So if I would have went with a flex play, it definitely would have hit. But we got the freebie here in college football as well. Avery Johnson of Kansas State only has to throw for a half passing yard. So make sure you guys put that in your Prize Picks slates coming up this weekend as well. This one hit for us tonight. So just go to Prize Picks is very, very simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your cash. Prize Picks also is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 different states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We'll make sure to put that that code down in the description of today's video as well as the comments of today's video. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, my next takeaway for tonight's game versus the Washington Commanders. It seems like there is actually no quarterback 2 battle going on right now. I thought Jake Browning bounced back and, had a whole lot better of a game than he had in week 1. And, Desmond Ridder only played 5 snaps in this game. He had 1 drive at the very, very end of the game and then took a couple of kneel downs as well. But Jake Browning, he had a lot better command, I thought, of that second-team offense tonight. 16 of 25, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And also no dropped interceptions from the Commanders as well. So I thought Jake Browning played a whole lot better in this game. And it seems at this point that there isn't really a quarterback 2 battle. Now, there was kind of a conspiracy theory being thrown around in the live chat tonight that the Bengals played Jake Browning a lot tonight to give him a lot of tape so they could end up trading him. I don't think that's necessarily in the cards, especially coming off of the Trey Hendrickson, trade rumors and stuff like that are going on. Maybe Jake Browning was going to be thrown in that as well, but I don't think that's really the case. I think they just wanted to get him more confident, and I think he looked a whole lot more confident tonight. So what is your one-word reaction to the Bengals win over the Commanders tonight? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section of today's video. Now, I do think this is a little bit underrated, but I wanted to give the special teams some love as well. Ryan Rico tonight had 4 punts for 161 yards, averaged 40.3 yards per punt, and 2 of those were down to inside the 20, also had a long of 51. When you have a punter that can flip the field like Ryan Rico was doing for the Bengals tonight, that can be utilized as a weapon, and it helps your defense out as well. And everybody knows this defense needs as much help as they can get. Evan McPherson also went 4 for 4 on extra points. That's something that should be a gimme at the end of the day, but also had a long of 54, and I thought Isaiah Williams had a nice few returns both on punt and kickoff as well. I think Isaiah Williams is going to be a guy that, might not necessarily be a guy that squeaks through in that wide receiver room, but if you can consistently play special teams, that is a way for you to make this Bengals 53-man roster. All right, my last takeaway for tonight's game, I thought Tycen Anderson played a whole lot better than, he has the past, or at least in the preseason week 1 here. Had that interception tonight, also had another pass breakup, couple tackles as well. When you talk about this Bengals safety room, this is something that Zach Taylor talked about a lot coming up this week with Geno Stone being out. They wanted some of these guys to be able to step up. I thought Tycen Anderson played pretty well tonight. I'll also give some love to Dejon Anthony. I thought he played pretty nice as well. Had a big hit on special teams coverage as well. So if these guys are going to make this roster this year, they got to be able to contribute on special teams. And I thought Tycen Anderson, he had that pick tonight, and I thought he just looked a whole lot better in coverage than he did in the week 1 preseason game against the Eagles last week. Overall, there was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff. I thought Lucas Patrick definitely could have been on there as a reaction as well. Didn't think he had a very good game. Obviously, the Bengals are going out and they are going to have a meeting tomorrow with Dalton Risner. So we will see if they end up adding him to this offensive line room, because right now I do think that Lucas Patrick is a liability for this Bengals offensive line.